Good evening. Thank you for joining us for tonight's Trying Family Web Series session. We are just going to wait a couple minutes while folks make their way in from the waiting room, and we will get started shortly. As we continue to wait for more folks to join us tonight, I would just like to have a reminder that this session is being recorded. During tonight's session, at any time you have a question, please feel free to use the question and answer tool that is located at the bottom of your screen. We will have not only a live Q&A towards the end of our session tonight, but we will also have staff who will be answering questions offline. So at any time, please feel free to utilize that Q&A feature that is located at the bottom of your screen. All right, again, thank you so much for joining us for tonight's Trying Family Web Series. Graduation is a family affair. Tonight, I'm joined by two great colleagues representing two of our resource centers on campus. And we're going to discuss not only what the main campus commencement celebrations are going to look like this year for 2021, but how different communities at UC San Diego are recognizing not only the students who are graduating, but the families who will help support them in their journey at UC San Diego. I'd just like to start by introducing myself. My name is Dan Perez. I am the program coordinator for the Office of Parent and Family Programs. And if you've attended some of our Trying Family Web Series before, you've seen my face because I've been on all these sessions. So I just want to say thank you so much for joining us. And if this is your first time, it's a great session to join us for. And this is our final session of the Trying Family Web Series spring quarter lineup. And it's just appropriate that we're talking about commencement now that it's just about a month away. And before I introduce my colleagues who will be joining me tonight and we get into commencement details and how we'll be celebrating students, I would just like to get to know who all is in the audience with us tonight. So I do have a few polling questions that we'd like for you to participate in. So I just got a few polling questions that we're going to launch now just to see who all is in attendance. So the first question we have for you all is your student a first year, a sophomore, a junior, or a senior? All right. Well, of course, we're talking about commencement, so it made sense that tonight's session is going to be chock full of senior families. Thank you for joining us. But a quick shout out to those families who are supporting first year, sophomore, and junior families. It's never too early to learn about how UC San Diego recognizes their students who are graduating. And so thank you for participating. Our next poll question is going to be about your student. So please answer if your student is a first generation student, meaning neither parent has a 4-year college degree. Your student is a student that has a dependent, so they are caring for or parenting a dependent or multiple dependents, a transfer student, an undocumented student, or none of the above. All right. Thank you for answering. Looks like we've got students that hit all the marks. So again, thank you for attending tonight. Our third polling question is going to be about where your student has been learning from. So we know that we're currently in a majority remote learning phase. So is your student currently learning from living on campus, living at home with family, or living in their apartment off campus? All right. Well, I know, especially if we're talking to a lot of senior families, those students who are in their fourth year, they're or more, already have their own place. They're living on campus with friends. That's great. And a large number of students also living at home with their families. So that's also great to hear as well. And we do have some that are living on campus. So thank you for sharing. The last polling question I have is actually going to be about you. Where are you joining us from tonight? Are you an international family member? Are you currently out of state, or are you local to California? All right. Well, thank you so much for answering. It looks like we do have some international families joining us tonight. Thank you so much. And also some out-of-state families. Again, we really do appreciate your participation from a distance. We know that it's not easy, especially depending on what time zone you may be in. And then thank you to all of our families who are local to California for joining us tonight. We're so happy to have you, and we're so happy to be talking about such an exciting topic such as commencement. So again, thank you so much for participating in our polling questions. I just want to let you all know who will be joining me later on tonight. So we will be joined by Claudia Martinez, who is the Assistant Director for the Raza Resource Centro, who's going to be talking about the programs that they have for their community and how they are celebrating their Latinx and Chicanx graduates. And then we'll have Portia Curry, who is the Campus Diversity Officer and Director of the Black Resource Center, who will be joining us to talk about the Black Graduation ceremony for 2021. Now, before we dive into that, I think it's important that we kind of start with why we're talking about this topic tonight. Well, especially with commencement, there have been lots of updates, lots of news, lots of changes, and lots of information that has been rolling out specifically in the last couple of weeks. So we want to make sure that we can make it clear for our families, especially those seniors, that they can kind of understand what 2021 commencement is going to look like, those details, and how they can help celebrate their students' great accomplishment of graduating from UC San Diego. We also want to highlight how different communities at UC San Diego are recognizing the students who are graduating, but also their families, and what those families mean to these different communities at UC San Diego, how they recognize them in their celebrations, and why family is an important party to also be recognized during commencement weekend. And again, we are going to talk about why, when we are celebrating all the students that are graduating from UC San Diego this year, we're also celebrating the families and the effort and the support that they've given their students to make it possible for their students to graduate from UC San Diego. So these are just some of the points and topics we're going to get into tonight. And again, I just want to bring your attention that at any time tonight you would like to ask a question, either for the live Q&A that will happen towards the end of tonight's session, or have it answered offline, you can use the question and answer tool that's located at the bottom of your screen. So without further ado, let's jump right into the 2021 commencement schedule. So there are going to be, over the weekend of June 12th and June 13th, 10 different main campus celebrations for 2021 graduates. Each college is going to be hosting their individual commencement ceremony, as you can see on the screen. It's kicking off with John Muir College at 9 a.m. on Saturday, June 12th. And the last ceremony is going to be Earl Warren College at 5 p.m. on Sunday, June 13th. A live stream for each commencement ceremony that's going to be held at Rematch Field on Try and Track will be available on commencement.ucsd.edu. And again, that's going to be starting on June 12th at 9 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. Graduates will have the opportunity to attend ceremonies in person. So how that's going to work this year is all participants, all students who have registered for 2021 commencement will be able to attend in person, ensuring that they have been either fully vaccinated or will have a negative COVID-19 test within 24 to 72 hours prior to the ceremony. When participants show up, they'll be required to complete a symptom screening upon entry. For more information about what the requirements are in relation to COVID-19 compliance, again, a website that you're going to hear us mention a lot tonight is commencement.ucsd.edu. All health and safety measures will be observed, and that's going to be based on the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention state and county guidelines for travel and gatherings, including continuous masking. For graduates not able to participate in person, commencement ceremonies are going to be offered online via a live stream for all graduates, families, and friends. Another thing to note is that all students who will be participating in person for 2021 commencement will be able to bring up to 2 guests. And it's important that you know that there will be no tickets handed out to students who will be participating in 2021 commencement. They will have to arrive and enter the commencement ceremony with their guests. They will arrive with their guests and be seated with their guests. So just an important note is that for those students who will be participating in one of these 10 commencement ceremonies, that they can have 2 in-person guests. There will be no tickets, and they will have to show up and enter the ceremony with their guests. Also, the 10 ceremonies I just covered are not the only ceremonies that are happening to highlight graduates of the class of 2021. There will be some ceremonies that we'll talk about later tonight, such as the 2021 Black Graduation, the Chicanx and Latinx Graduation ceremony, and then also other ceremonies that will be highlighting different communities of graduates, such as the Jacob School of Engineering Ring Ceremony, which will be happening Saturday, June 12th, the Native American Graduates Honoring Ceremony, which will be happening Friday, June 11th, and the Rainbow Graduation that will be happening, actually the first ceremony on Friday, June 4th. Also, away from just ceremonies, there will be digital celebrations and recognition of other graduates. There are pages set up dedicated to recognizing first-generation graduates and international graduates. And we have a resource page that we'll share later on in the session, and we'll also send out to participants that will have links for all of these sessions, the live streams, and how to see how your student will be recognized and where they may have opportunities to further their recognition and highlight their 2021 graduation. I know that graduation and commencement for 2021 isn't necessarily going to look the way that your student or you and your family may have envisioned it when they enrolled as a first year or transfer student here at UC San Diego. But there's a few different ways that UC San Diego is trying to support students and families in making sure that the 2021 commencement celebration can be one of their own. So part of the registration for commencement, if students would like to participate in it or not, is the opportunity to register and sign up for the UC San Diego Commencement Yearbook. That is like an online living yearbook where students can upload a photo and information about themselves, and family, friends, peers can register, sign in, leave comments, share memories, just like a regular yearbook on their page. But then also day of any their college graduation ceremony, their commencement ceremony, they'll be able to actually watch a live stream on that individual student's page. So you can invite your family and friends to register for that UC San Diego Commencement Yearbook, where they'll be able to not only leave comments and messages for the students that are graduating, but also be able to watch that live stream together on your student's page. Students who are unable to attend or choose not to attend in person will still be recognized during the in-person celebration. So if students choose to, when they're registering for commencement, note that they will not be attending in person, but would still like to be recognized, they can fill out the information, and there will be time during each commencement celebration where names are read and a photo is shared during those commencement celebrations, so that those students who may not be present in person will still be recognized as if they're crossing the stage. So again, please make sure your student is looking to register for commencement if they would like to participate either in person or virtually, because the deadline for that registration is going to be May 19th, so a week from today. So make sure that your student, if they have not yet registered for their college commencement celebration, has. And we know that because there may only be 2 guests who can attend with the student, that there may be some opportunities to kind of have a virtual live streaming party, either setting up family and friend Zooms, joining in and watching on the yearbook, or hosting a safe, socially distanced viewing party as well. There's ways that we can still make this a fun, celebratory weekend that's about celebrating not only the student's accomplishment, but again, having time to reflect on how the family has participated and supported the student to cross the finish line at UC San Diego. So again, we're going to list at the end of the session a page of resources that will go over all of the commencement information, and that will make that available tomorrow in an email following up this session with all of the links and hyperlinks. But I want to leave you with two important notes. Is one, the deadline to register for commencement 2021 is May 19th. And two, for those that are participating in person, they must show up with their two guests and will be seated with their two guests. There will be no tickets handed out this year. And with that said, I'm going to hand it off to my colleague Claudia so she can talk about the programs that are being put on by the Centro.
Thank you. My name is Claudia Martinez, and as previously mentioned, I am the Assistant Director for the Raza Resource Center, and I oversee the Chicanx Latinx graduation that we put every year. This is actually our 5th year putting it together. And just to start off, our actual event is happening this, like Dan said earlier, in a month. Friday, June 11th at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and folks are able to tune in live. To give you a little bit of background about our event, pre-COVID, our event is live. There's pictures that you see right there, and it's a yearly commemoration of the graduating Latinx class. It doesn't matter if it's an undergraduate, a master's student, or a PhD student. Any student who's graduating who is Latinx is able to participate. Because our event is before all of the colleges and the main commencement, we usually end up being the first graduation event in which doctorate students are actually called doctorate in front of a live audience. And so it's amazing. You get tear jerky and all of that. And the purpose of our graduation is to highlight the Latinx students on campus. Most of the Latinx students are first generation. Most of them are bilingual. I am a first generation, I'm bilingual. And for the parents, this may be the first time that their student participates in a massive graduation event. This may also be the first time that they attend the campus itself. And so we understand that it's not just the student who is graduating, it's literally the entire family. And so for us, it's very important that throughout the event, we're incorporating the family in everything that we do. And so very different from the other graduations on campus. Again, when it's in person, this year we are not having it in person, but usually when we do, very different, we do not give out tickets, and we accept the student to come in with as many family members as they want. Just speaking from personal experience, I know that I have a large family, and my tios, my tias, my grandparents, literally la vecina, the neighbor, wanted to come with us to graduation, and it's hard to ticket our families. And so our graduation is known for just having a large, massive amount of people in a short, very period of time. Our event, this is a question that we get a lot. It does not replace the student participating in either their college or the main commencement. This is an optional event to highlight that a student is Latinx and they're graduating from UC San Diego. It does not, however, mean that the student cannot participate in their other graduations if they want to. Often not, students will participate in hours, and they will still stay for the remainder of the weekend with their parents. They do all of the commencement events and whatnot. And there's other students who just choose to do hours because of the convenience of it being on a Friday, and because our event is bilingual. So our entire graduation is in English and in Spanish to facilitate for folks who do not speak English. Students receive a Latinx sash that you see right here. That is free of charge. So we do not charge students for participating or for the sash itself. They just have to sign up. Even when the event is in person, we still live stream the event. So 2 years ago in 2019, the entire graduation was being broadcasted live online. This year, the entire event is going to be exclusively online. We are unable to host it in person. And so it will be at the same date and the same time. Folks will just have to turn into our website, and it will be right there for you to be able to experience it from home or from wherever you are. Like Dan was saying, if you want to have and host different types of virtual engagement with family and friends. We have also realized that this allows for family who's like from out of state or even out of the country to participate in different capacities. We can go to the next slide. Students must sign up in order to participate. So this is very important. If a student self-identifies as Latinx, they're obviously welcome to participate, but we do not assume that because a student is Latinx, they want to participate. So students have to sign up and let me know. And our deadlines are pretty strict. Actually, the deadline for this year's graduation closed about a month ago because of all the preparation that we have to do for it. And usually our signups will open in January and we close late March, early April. And that's once again to prepare for everything. This year, we're expecting 542 students. So that is a lot of work that needs to get done. And just because we're not in person, it doesn't mean that students will not obtain their sash. Sashes will be mailed to students this year alongside other graduation gifts. And so we're still commemorating the class this year. We're just, sending it to their home. And like I mentioned, our event is part of the commencement weekend. If anything, the events that happen on Friday of commencement weekend, I feel like they tend to kick off the entire celebration. And so ours is one of the first ones on that Friday. And there you'll see a picture. This is an aerial view from 2018. Those numbers have now doubled. So the graduation will be literally twice as big next year. And next year we will open it up for folks who signed up to participate in 2021 virtually and they want to walk in 2022. And I know that's a big ask, but some folks are really determined to actually walk a stage. And so we want to grant them that honor. And so we will invite folks from the class of 2020 and the class of 2021 who signed up. We will allow them to come back in 2022. And that's about the Centro, and let me know if you have any questions.
Thank you so much, Claudia. I will just say I was able to attend the celebration in 2019 just as a community member, and it was a fantastic time. And I will suggest that even if your student may not be participating, they may have friends that do. So please watch the live stream. Please offer your support to the students of this community that will be graduating and just have fun. It's going to be a good time. All right. In just a second, we will have Portia Curry coming on to talk about the Black Resource Center and the 2021 Black Graduation Ceremony.
Good evening, everyone. As Dan mentioned, I am Portia Curry. My pronouns are she, her, and hers, and I direct the Black Resource Center. I'm also an alumnus of UC San Diego. So graduation and commencement season is always extremely exciting. We love graduation at the BRC. So I'm glad to be invited to share a little bit about our program. Some of the details are being worked out because unlike the Latinx graduation, we decided to move forward with having ours on campus. And I'm kind of nervous putting it out there, but we're excited. We just kind of decided that so many of our communities, especially our community, has had such a rough year, like 2020 and even the beginning of 2021 has been, difficult for a lot of different families. And we were just excited to have something to celebrate. And the work that our students have done over the time that they've been at UC San Diego is one of the biggest celebrations that we have. And it's also the culmination of our year. So we're extremely excited to be holding Black Graduation Ceremony on campus. And we are navigating the details to make sure that this happens and that everyone has a great experience. So as you can see on the slide, Black Graduation Ceremony will be happening on one of the REMAC fields, our Spanos field, which is the track and field field, which is on the far north side of our campus. So we will be accommodating both our students. We currently have 87 students who are registered for Black Graduation, and that has been the largest group of graduates that we've had since we've been having Black Graduation. So very exciting. And like the other graduations happening on campus, unfortunately, our students can only have 2 people with them, right? And it's something that we wish could be different, but of course, it's of the utmost importance that we keep both our students, graduates, their families, everyone can be safe, everyone can celebrate in a safe environment. So this year, like Claudia said, we're going to abide by that, and next year we will be celebrating in the traditional way with families, friends, everyone. Like Claudia said, tias, tios, everybody's coming to graduation. So we're looking forward to that, but we are still going to celebrate this year. It will be Friday, June 11th, 2021. That is the Friday of finals week. So students will finish their finals, and those who have finals on Friday can, wrap those up and then head right over to Black Graduation. It'll be at 6:00 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Much like the Latinx Graduation, we will also be having a graduation opportunity for both our 2020 and 2021 graduates. Last year, as we were just figuring out what this pandemic was going to look like, we were going into our first graduation virtually. And we promised those graduates last year, if we're able to, we will have you on campus. If you want to come back and walk, you're welcome to. And we have a good amount of students who actually signed up. They're bringing their stoles from last year, and they're going to walk right with their friends from the class of 2021. So we're extremely excited about that. But for the most part, we will have students who are a part of the class of 2021. Students have been invited to participate both in person and virtually. We have most students who have decided to come be in person, but we also have quite a few students, and of course the families and friends who will be at home cheering virtually. One of the exciting parts of our celebration this year is we have a representation of students across the board on our campus. So we will have undergraduate students, our graduate and professional students, as well as School of Medicine, our medical students who will be participating in Black Graduation this year. And that is just extremely exciting for us, because this is, again, what our students have worked for since they got to UC San Diego. So the idea that we can celebrate as a community is just so exciting for us. We will, of course, have remarks from our senior leadership on campus. They're so excited to be there to congratulate and bless our students as they are walking across the stage. That includes, but is not limited to, Chancellor Kosla, our Vice Chancellor for Equity, Diversity, Inclusion, Becky Pettit, faculty, staff, graduates, continuing students, alumni. Everyone will be a part of this celebration, mostly virtual, but some folks will be there in person with us, making sure that this happens. More than anything, we just want to make sure that everyone's aware that this graduation is happening. Like other graduations, we had to have a firm deadline to ensure that we had time to order our stoles, make sure that everything can be done. We found out somewhat, later in the quarter that we were even going to be able to do this. So it's going to be important that we had everyone, sign up early enough so that we can make that happen. So while the graduation opportunity, or the opportunity to participate in Black Graduation has passed, we have students who can participate virtually. And if someone is really trying, I know I'm saying 2 different things because I have a hard student. So I'm like, you can't sign up, but if you really, really want to sign up and they miss the deadline, tell them to email me, because we just know how important this opportunity and this celebration is. So hopefully you all will be able to take part in this celebration virtually. If not, maybe you're one of the students, 2 people. Either way, we're excited that we're going to be able to offer this opportunity this year. And thanks again for having me.
Thank you so much, Portia, especially for making it, because I will let our folks know that Portia has been put a ton of effort into attending tonight, even coming straight from campus and traveling and then being able to sign on remotely. So I really do appreciate you joining us.
No
and I do appreciate you all sharing the information. We are going to get to the live Q&A here in just a minute, but I just want to say, I think it's so amazing that your resource centers are still able to provide graduation ceremonies, be it virtual or in person, for these students in these communities, because I know, like we said, it has been a difficult year and it's time to celebrate. And so I think it's really admirable, especially with all of the effort that goes into planning commencement and everything. So I just can't wait to watch these on the live stream and really just celebrate our students and their accomplishments. But I do have a few questions that I'd like to throw to you all. And the first question is why is it important for your centers, your communities, to recognize families as part of your ceremonies? And how may you do that during these celebrations?
Sure, I can start, and Claudia, of course, jump in. Claudia and I are colleagues from way back, so we tag team really well. I mean, honestly, I think most communities, if not all communities, family, we understand that the decision to attend college and then what college to attend, and then the process of making it through that experience, the family, whether first generation or not, everyone is involved in supporting that student, whether it's checking in on them, calling and making sure that they're doing okay, that they're attending class, that they're eating their vegetables, or sending care packages, popping up and checking on them. Everyone in the family usually plays a part in that, right? So we want to honor the fact that everyone has done work to arrive to this point, and everyone should be a part of the celebration, right? We understand that no student gets through their experience alone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, there's really nothing else to add that Portia didn't already say. The way that I honor the families in our graduation, because I also am the MC for our graduation, is that, in other graduations, they usually tell you, wait until all names are called before you clap. And I tell the families the opposite. I'm like, you hear your student's name, you clap, you yell, you make noise, bring pots and pans, bring maracas. Like, I don't care. Make all the noise that you want, because this is your student's name being called. Like, go ahead and make a big deal out of it, because it is a pretty big deal. And so I know that that's a big distinction for us. I'm like, there's no silence here. Please be loud. Like, yeah.
No, and I will say, also being a first gen student, that was communicated to my family at commencement when I graduated from my undergrad, but they did not listen. And I know lots of other families are like that, where they don't listen. You may ask to be silent, but they hear the name, they see it, they recognize, and they just can't hold back.
Yeah, because it's such an exciting and beautiful celebration, right? I'm sure families, parents, they know what their student has been through to make it to that moment. So to ask someone to hold that excitement is almost impossible.
Definitely. Now, I think, Claudia, you may have mentioned this before, but I know that a question we get from families, specifically those that may be participating in either the Raza Resource Centro Chicanx Latinx Graduation Ceremony or the Black Graduation Ceremony, is should my student participate in multiple ceremonies? And so I think you mentioned it earlier. The answer is yes, right?
Absolutely. So first of all, like I said, our graduations do not replace the main commencement. If students choose not to go to the other ones, that's on their own. But I'm not telling them to only come to ours or to pick and choose or anything like that. And the other part is that students have different identities, right? So we may have a student who identifies as Latinx who also identifies as a Black student. And so that's another reason why we try to make sure that our graduations don't overlap, and that students can participate in, in all of these things where they feel identified, they feel like themselves. And so that's also been the situation this year, even with the virtual environment. As you all saw in the spreadsheet, all of our graduations are still staggered on purpose. So no, there's no limit. I mean, at least I don't have a limit, and I encourage folks to, sign up for as many as you want. Have your name be said multiple times with your degree.
All right, and then I have one more question just to throw out to you all. Is we know that commencement, these celebration ceremonies, it is the culmination of years of hard work and effort. And we're recognizing that, and the students are then going to move on to their next journey. And we kind of talked about that in our session last week. But I want to ask, even though we're talking about commencement celebration, how can families and students stay engaged with your communities and post-graduation? I know it's a big question.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's important for, especially again, for our communities, that we have our alumni stay engaged with the community as a whole, right? We want folks who are excited to have, been Tridents and still see themselves as Tridents. And there are students who are continuing on in their studies at UC San Diego. And like myself, I've graduated and I'm in my career now, and there's information, there might be knowledge and possibly even some wisdom that I can impart to current students, right? So staying connected and being able to provide any support that they can give is always valuable. But I think also generally for themselves, right, to have that connection to the university and be able to stay in the community. There's always opportunities for them to show up at alumni weekend or homecoming weekend and just celebrate the experience that they had on our campus.
And I think that it allows for students who are either just coming in CSD or they're already a student, right? They're active students and they're like, I don't know if I can make it. Like, I don't even know what I'm doing right now. But then when you see a young alum and you're like, oh, they did it. And, we have similar either backgrounds or degrees or things like that. It allows them to be like, okay, other folks obviously struggled like I did. So I'm not alone in this. There's that whole sense of community that comes along with that. And I know at the Centro, we're also expanding our efforts with young alums. And so we constantly ask young alums to come back and share about, so what are you doing now? What words do you have to share for the new incoming class and things like that? And students want to hear from folks that graduated. They want to know, okay, how did you do it? Because I'm excited, but I'm also nervous. And so it helps with some of those jitters out.
Definitely. I think it's been said, I would just love to reiterate that we know that commencement is the culmination of the journey, but that doesn't mean students and you family members stop being Tridents. It's just a new stage of what that Trident relationship looks like with the UC San Diego community. So once your student graduates, it's not over. Keep coming back, keep staying involved. Recommend that your student stays involved with the communities that they've been participating in, because we love nothing more than engaged alum, because that just helps the student success and the experience and the knowledge that they have be shared with new students and new family members. All right, well, thank you so much for those answers, Portia and Claudia. We do have some questions that have been asked in the Q&A that I'd like to ask and address. So the first question from a family member is, how long after graduation will students receive their official diplomas? So just to let everyone know that diplomas are typically available 3 to 6 months after the end of the quarter in which the students graduate. So if the student is finishing classwork in the spring quarter, that means after June, they can wait 3 to 6 months to receive it. Please know that undergraduate and graduate diplomas are going to be mailed directly to the permanent mailing address your student has on their record in Triton Link. So one thing to remind your students as we're nearing the end of the quarter is that they have up-to-date information on their student portal and their Triton Link, because that's the information in which is their diploma is going to be sent to. So if you've got a student, I know we've got a ton of students who are being represented tonight that are living in an apartment off campus. If that lease is coming to an end over the summer and that's what they have on their Triton Link, make sure they update that to that home address, the family's address, or their maybe a PO box, so they can make sure that they get their diploma, because nothing worse than having to try and track down a very fragile piece of mail a few months after graduation, especially if you don't have that updated address. So again, just to reiterate, please make sure that your student has updated and has correct information on their Triton Link with their permanent mailing address, because that's where that diploma is going to be mailed to about anywhere between 3 to 6 months post-graduation. Another question we have is, what is the possibility of additional guests being able to attend beyond the 2 currently allowed? Right now, it has been a large undertaking for UC San Diego to even have the ability to put on an in-person graduation and commencement ceremony. So unfortunately, that is a hard limit on the two-person guests. I know that there are some other deadlines that may be happening around the state or different counties in that time, but with the space that the university has at their disposal for these commencement ceremonies, unfortunately, that two-guest limit is going to stand very hard. And there will not be any exceptions made for that. Again, that's why it's important to make sure that when your student registers for commencement, that they've signed up for that UC San Diego digital yearbook, that they're sharing the live stream links, and that we're including families and friends to celebrate your student virtually and digitally, so everyone can stay connected, even though they may not be able to actually be in person. A question about how to register for the yearbook access, that's going to be available for your student to register and for any family members or friends as guests to register on commencement.ucsd.edu. Again, there is a section on that website in the navigation that says yearbook. You click on it, and all you need to do is a quick email address, name, sign up, and then they actually have a directory where you can search for your student. And they'll have a page, and your student can add a photo, and they'll be able to locate that, leave messages, celebrate your student, and watch the live stream through that page. So again, that access for the UC San Diego Commencement Yearbook is going to be on commencement.ucsd.edu. And this may not be a question, but we do have a note that says, my son has worked so hard as an engineer to make it in 4 years and to make me proud. And those are messages that we love to see and that we would love for you to highlight maybe on that commencement yearbook that your students signed up for. But it really, again, it's all about celebration. And I know every time I say that commencement's only a month away, it may stress Claudia out just a little bit, but it is, and it's time to celebrate, and we can get excited because commencement is coming down the line. So again, I just want to say thank you for Claudia, thank you, Portia, for attending. Thank you for sharing all of the effort that you're putting in to recognize our graduates for 2021 and even maybe some previous years, and everything you continue to do to support the communities that you work with. Before I let you all leave tonight as my participants, I want to share with you all some commencement resources that we have. So please bear with me for just a moment, and I can bring this back up. So just to reiterate what we have available. So Commencement 2021, all the information and everything you need to know about that ceremony is going to be located on commencement.ucsd.edu. It will also link to all of the different celebrations, information, and the UC San Diego yearbook. If your student is looking to purchase any grad gear, if you want UC San Diego 2021 graduate, UC San Diego grad mom, dad, grandpa, grandma, the UC San Diego bookstore has a grad central for 2021, which has everything your student would need for their upcoming commencement celebrations. And if you have any specific questions, if you may need accommodations for your student or a family member that would be one of the two guests attending with that student, or you have other questions about maybe what the COVID-19 policy and the vaccination process, the screening process, or the test proof of negative test process looks like, please feel free to email commencement@ucsd.edu. That team will be able to answer any specific questions, offer more insight about the main college commencement ceremonies that will be happening over June 12th and June 13th. And again, we have all of the ways different graduates are being recognized, starting on June 4th with the rainbow graduation, and then continuing with our Chicanx, Latinx graduation ceremony, the 2021 Black Graduation ceremony, the Native American graduates honoring ceremony, the rainbow graduation, and then our Jacob School of Engineering ring ceremony. And then also I wanted to highlight two completely digital ways that first generation graduates and international graduates are being recognized. So on these links, you'll see that there are profiles and pictures and information about all of the graduates that will be first gen being recognized for their accomplishments, and then also international. So your student can submit that information, or even you can submit that for your student as well, so that they can get recognized on the list It's almost like a catalog of 2021 grads and how they're being recognized. All right, we are not quite done yet. I still have a couple bits of information for you, but I would like to let you know that this resource page will be sent out tomorrow in the email with the recording of this session. So don't fret if you're trying to copy down all these links or all this information. It will be sent out to all registered participants. As for the recording, it's going to be made available on our YouTube channel tomorrow. So if you would like to rewatch this recording with translated subtitles, YouTube makes it pretty simple for you to do that. You would just find the video on our YouTube channel, select settings, select subtitles, and then select auto translate, and then choose the language in which you would like to have the subtitles translated into. It's just a way to make this recorded session more accessible on the rewatch for any multilingual participants and registrants we may have. Lastly, I know that we have a majority of senior families. I know that we also mentioned that engagement doesn't end with graduation, but I know we also have some first year, some sophomore, and some junior families. So we do have 3 sessions coming up for the Trying Family web series during the summer. And I know we're talking about commencement right now, but when it hits the summer, we're going to be talking to our rising seniors, our current juniors, about what the last year has in store for them. And that's with our Cheers, It's Your Students Last Year. So we're just going to cover all of the main events, all the need to knows, everything to look out for as your student enters their final year at UC San Diego. We'll be talking about why mentors, communities, and campus involvement matter, and how you can support your student in finding a mentor, finding a community that they feel at home on the campus, and how they can continue to be involved. And we know this is going to be important because we're going to be welcoming students back to campus in person in the fall for fall 2021. And then we do have a first generation special family table talk to talk about to work or not to work as a first generation college student. And that session will be put on in collaboration with the Office for Student Retention and Success and my great colleague, Lindsay Ramasana. So we'll be having 3 sessions over the summer. So even though classes may be over for what it is, the academic year, there's still students in session. So my office will still be putting on some great sessions and webinars with some great colleagues for families of UC San Diego students. And again, I just want to say thank you so much for my panelists for sharing your time and the information and your insight and how families can continue to celebrate their 2021 grads. Thank you for my staff for supporting the Zoom tonight. And again, if you have any questions that didn't get answered tonight, if you'd like to reach out to me, my email address is going to be parents@ucsd.edu. I'll be able to follow up with any questions you may have. If you have specific commencement related questions, please feel free to email commencement@ucsd.edu. Make sure that when you're celebrating next month at whatever celebration you may have for your student or whatever commencement ceremony, feel free to tag us on social media so we can reshare and celebrate with you. Our Facebook, our Twitter, our Instagram are there, and then our YouTube channel for all of our recorded sessions. And also you can get all of this information at our website, which is parents.ucsd.edu. So thank you all. Congratulations to our senior families who have graduates of the class of 2021. And we really hope to see some of you in the future, be it either as alumni or as continuing students and families. So again, thank you and have a great evening.